My next guest is a Norfolk native, husband, father, grandfather, and a survivor of a gruesome motorcycle accident in the summer of 2021. Jay, thanks for making time to be here today.
Thank you.
I'm Zach Miller with my co-host Anita Larson.
What's up?
And we are touching base with Jay Beltz today. Let's get a little history on you kind of before we get into the accident. Were you born and raised here in Norfolk?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
Did you go to Norfolk High?
Yes.
How was that?
Crazy back in the day, I guess.
Many moons ago?
Yeah. 87.
87?
So, yeah, it's been many moons.
Yeah.
So,
That's not too bad, though.
You were an
you're
A+
still-
student too, right?
Yeah, sure. With honors.
You're still spry and young, yeah?
Yeah. So, yeah, born, raised here. My dad worked at Nucor 40-some years. Yeah. So
So you guys are both kind of in some of the bigger industries here in town. He was Nucor and you were...
So, yeah, graduated and everything, and had an opportunity to use a scholarship through Nucor, but good old Norfolk Panthers. Didn't know quite what I wanted to do. Was working at the time at the packing house. Got on there. Just got point in my life. I was tired, burned out, I guess, in Norfolk at the time. I thought I had enough, born, raised here, and I wanted to change. So you get into how I met Heidi. That's my wife. I said one more night in Norfolk. Went cruising downtown, smoking buddies. Used to be a good old 7-Eleven. Pulled up there. I filled my car up. Her and her friend walked up, asked if they could have a ride. I said, sure. And, 37 years later, I never did leave Norfolk. And,
So you were all ready to get out and go?
yeah, I just told my mom and dad I was going to go to Omaha. Think it was better, better place to be, sprout off and do something. And end up having my first daughter at the ripe age of 19. And so I said, okay, I need a different job with benefits. And so that's what got me on Affiliated Foods.
Yep.
Which is now AWG.
Right.
And so 33 years there. So hired there at 1990 till 2 years ago.
Wow.
And we'll get into that.
Yep.
But with that, 4 girls, 1 son, and now 13 grandchildren.
Good Lord.
Jeez.
Busy family.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want a big story, that's it.
So you met Heidi back when you could still cruise up down.
Yeah.
down Main.
For our typical thing was we would go to 7-Eleven, get them good old nachos and just the big gulp glasses. Then we would take alcohol, pour it in the big gulp, and take those wherever we'd go, and you'd sneak all over the place with those. So, just a normal kid, I guess, growing up in Nebraska.
Right.
But yeah, we had a good time. I think back then the 80s were good, even though for our parents maybe not so good.
Right.
But yeah, so.
Do you
That's
ever
awesome.
look back and think man, I am so glad that we stayed in Norfolk? Or do you still have that little thing in the back of your mind that's I kind of wish we would have left just for a little bit?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because my dad always told me, think with your head and not your zipper. So, but I guess I, no, not to say that in a bad way, but no, I'm glad we stayed, like I said, a lot of people and you guys, with Zach being my insurance man, has helped us out. And, I seen Norfolk, I was playing football when 13th Street was 2 lanes.
Right.
Where Johnny Carson's house was. And when they widened that up and all that, so Norfolk has changed a lot, and they're trying to get better and stuff. And I do you guys talking about that. But I think still Norfolk, it's been good.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that part here in a little bit. Because, I did 22 years on nights, made that sacrifice to be with my kids during the day. And then was it 2 years ago, right before, we'll talk about that too, the wreck. It was my turn to go to True Days. So I got off nights on a Wednesday morning, slept for about 4 hours. Heidi come waking me up. She said, "You got to apply for your job." I'm like, "What?" And so I woke up. I called my boss that I've had for 33 years, same boss. Called him up. I said, "Hey, Brad, what's going on?" And he said, "Hey, Jay, we just got took over by a company called AWG."
Wow.
And so that, there in a nutshell, almost changed my life, because I looked at my wife and I told her, I'm not walking in that building for anything less than I'm doing now.
Right.
I worked that long, excuse me. And I said, get ready, because if they change one thing, I'm selling out. And her brother's wanting us to go out to Denver for 20 years now. And I said, here's our chance. Well, I went into that night into it and got a $2 hour raise. We didn't lose no benefits. I didn't lose no vacation time. The only thing I lost was they do receiving at night, not during the day. So I won on everything. I just wasn't going to days.
Right.
So that's what kind of kept us here. Well, and Affiliate was good.
Right.
They're a company, strong company, I thought. And, we made it that long, at least, in the business.
Right.
So you kind of felt like fate at that point in time, just kind of nodded its head that we're not done with Norfolk yet.
Yeah, well, and my wife, God bless her heart, I've been lucky enough to have all my kids here yet.
Yeah.
I have my oldest in Osmond, but everybody else is here, so I'm a lucky grandparent. I get to see them most all the time. So I've been awful blessed with that. So
when you were still working, you and Heidi, we talked about it, have a really big family. I'm sure kept you really busy.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about balance. It's a big word on the show. How did you guys balance between the work and raising all the kids, and how did you guys make that all work?
I think with anybody that's been in a relationship for a while, it takes work. And some days, and you guys know that. I don't know.
Nope.
Not married yet.
Not yet.
Nope. But
I am. But
some days I still want to do what I want to do, and Heidi wants to do what she wants to do, and you got to come to a compromise. And I think with the kids, we look back, we're like, man, how do we do everything? And you just had to be a team. And if one night she had 2 of the kids and I had the other 3 going, especially in high school, when they get in junior high and high school, it gets busy
all over the place, right?
Yeah. And so, with my girls, but I told them, as long as you're in stuff, I'll support you guys, because your high school's one shot.
And most all of them played sports too, right?
Yeah, most of them did. My middle child, Erica, she was the busiest. She was cheerleader, flag captain, show choir. It was just crazy. So it's almost like a job. So
that takes a lot of money too. You guys probably had to make sure you saved up for all that.
Yeah, especially cheerleading. If you got a cheerleader, God bless your heart out there, because cheerleading is
cheerleading and dance.
And dance.
Yeah.
Is so Erica, I got to tell you, went to cheerleading her first year. So we're buying the uniforms, and back then it was about $2,500.
Right.
That's insane.
The next year, they decide to change outfits again. There's another $2,500. Plus, I had another daughter joining, so it cost me over $5,000 for cheerleading.
So was that cheerleading or was that the Pink Panthers?
Nope, that's
just cheerleading.
Cheerleading.
But I had no idea.
That's bags. That's bags.
The whole thing.
But I realized them uniforms, when they cheer, it's like a job.
Right.
If you have a cheerleader and someone that dances too, I mean, it teaches them responsibility, and they travel, they go out of town, in town, all over the place. So but I was lucky enough to have my daughter being a cheerleader and a flag captain. So I go to the football games, I got to see her perform flags and then cheer too. So that's cool. Yeah, that was kind of cool doing that. But
very interesting. So Heidi probably helped play a lot in that balance.
Oh yeah, she did. She's been doing licensed daycare 25 years plus, and she
commend her for that. Takes a special person.
Some people can do it. But with that, she did that so she could stay home with the kids, or our kids, and grow them up,
right,
and be a mom yet. And then that's why I did nights. So good old dad, I come home, sleep a few hours, and we're up and running. And it's just a sacrifice you do when you're a parent, and
Right.
you put that commitment into your kids.
Right.
You know, I think that's huge.
That's great that you guys were able to do that, though.
Yeah.
That she was able to do the daycare for that long, and
Yeah.
she's still doing it to this day.
Yeah. I just asked her tonight, actually. I said, how much longer, dear? I said, how much longer? And
Well, there's so much of a need for it. It's kind of hard to just
and I think she's
dwindling down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She only takes so many on.
Right.
And I never blamed her for that. I'd never second guessed her for doing it, and she's good at it.
You guys are such great people. So you guys also, I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but you guys also help out with I can't remember the name of the place.
We have Mosaic.
Mosaic, yeah.
So we're a host home for them, and so we took some time out. I shouldn't say time out, but time in to be able to bless two individuals that they're just part of our family.
I think it's amazing that you do that, because I usually come to your guys' house we talk about insurance and whatever, and they're usually there, and it's just you guys, they just seem so happy.
Yeah, and it's such a relief to not a relief even, but to feel good about that I can help not change, but help them be like a normal family,
right,
or something they can be a part of,
right,
and just feel
loved.
Yeah, just feel the emotions that. I mean, we just got into family pictures. They're in our pictures. They go with us wherever we go. I mean, they're just like brother, sister.
Right.
One of our own kids.
I still don't know how you guys fit the whole family in one photo.
Yeah, I should have showed you the new picture. Yeah,
I saw it. You put it on Facebook.
Yeah.
I saw that. I just can't believe it's so many people.
Well, and it's weird that two people can make that happen in 37 years.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So much love you guys have given your kids and then your grandkids. And
right.
Yeah.
So that's been,
that's great. Moving kind of on. So we talked a little bit about how the city's kind of changed from when you since you've been here. Do you think it's changed for the better, for the worse? A mixture of both over the years?
I heard your couple guests talk about that. I think it's going in a good direction. What I have an issue with, or some of my opinion or issue.
Yep, go for it.
Is everybody talks about the south side of town, and I'm talking about the packing house.
Yep.
And the freezer services where I work sitting empty for, 30 plus years now. And love what they're doing downtown. I think that's great. I just think there's a lot of wasted area down there that they really don't want to look at.
It sounds like they maybe are going to start. I think when Andrew was on, he was, because that's his district.
Yeah.
And I think he was talking about revitalizing some of the south side of town.
Yeah.
There.
And I think that'd be great. I'm not saying it needs to look like, $1 million expense, $1 million homes and build a lake there, whatever. I'm just saying, and there's so many new apartments out there.
Right.
I'm surprised that no developer wants to put a grocery store and develop. Sooner or later, they're going to want that or need that out in that direction.
Well, they've been trying to do a little bit. They were trying to take over the old stockyards.
Yeah.
They tried to revamp the old depot, and that didn't. Both of those fell through.
And I think one of the problems with that is educating people.
What can you elaborate?
Just how it was going to work, because everybody has opinions, and everybody says, man, they're going to throw it all in one lump ball, and we're going to get taxed for the next 60 years, and they're going to spend the money on other things. If they would have just explained to them, I think a little bit more.
Wouldn't it be great if there was like an interview-based podcast that could bring people on and tell the people about that?
Well, or you could even do that.
I was being facetious.
Yeah. But I just
so that would have benefited.
But even
back
for
then.
me and for everybody that wants to, just instead of striking everything down that they like to do. I know there's opposites in all sides.
And I also think sometimes they don't give enough information. So
right.
Everybody's got to be transparent so that everybody knows what's going on. And I know they try to be transparent. I'm not trying to talk down on anybody, but for the people that maybe, as you're saying, aren't educated on it and all they see is dollar signs on taxes and and things that, you know, her coming from being single, right? Let's say she doesn't own a house now, but let's say she did. And what if she had an issue with paying property taxes that go to things that she has nothing to do with?
I run into that stuff all the time, so I'm just kind of used to that. But
so, like, what do you? I mean,
I didn't know that at one time. I think Sioux City and Omaha both had a tire tax.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they ask you
for the roads,
for your zip code if you're shopping.
Yep.
And you're from out of town.
Yep. It was the same thing with the restaurant tax here to help with like the revamping of Memorial Stadium and the water park and all that. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I do, but that's it. And just like this, us growing up, you asked how we did it. You know, God bless JCPenney's for being open because we do that 50% off or spend 50, save 20, and we're really diligent each, right?
Yeah.
But why doesn't Nebraska have that one thing, no tax for that school weekend? When I'm going up to Sioux City, I'm going to go because I don't have no taxes, but I'm buying school clothes for 5 kids.
Yeah. Shoes,
pants, shirts. So it's just not a couple $100 I'm spending, you know, but if I can save that no tax that day, I just don't understand why Nebraska can't get that going so the money stays here when the money's going outward.
I think they're trying to work on that, especially like in Nebraska and in the Norfolk area. We're trying to get more where we're, you know, but it's hard to. There's a lot of places, a lot of things we have to go get elsewhere, which kind of, you know.
And you asked about what they're going. I think the restaurants downtown are great.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great, but I think we just need some different variations of food here would, you know.
We'll get into that later too. We'll get into that later with your stuff. But
I also think like when it comes in general to, I mean, you talked a lot about education and having the conversations and things like that. Like, I just see that in everywhere all the time. Like a lot of times people's lack of understanding is just because they haven't had the conversation about it or because they haven't gone and taken the initiative to look things up themselves. But I know there's just so many things. I mean, how do you keep up with everything that happens? But having a good media platform, having good, you know, definitely would help. But I know I definitely don't hear about all the things that happen in this city that I know I should either. But so it's hard. Yeah. It's hard.
Do you think it's a lack of a media source? Do you think do you read the paper?
Yeah.
Do you still?
Yeah, I do.
So I would love to know where that gap stops because I don't read it that often, like at all. So I wonder at what age did that go away? Like how much of the city do you think probably doesn't read the newspaper?
Yeah, that would be a good poll.
And no offense to the newspaper, I just don't always think they cover things well enough for people to be educated on it.
Well, that too, and I just think there's stuff that happens in Norfolk that Norfolk don't want to.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Air out there, I guess. Yeah. And I'm not saying that in a good way or a bad way.
Right.
Yep.
But if they want something to be heard or seen, they'll put in the paper.
Right.
If they don't, well, and we'll get that because we'll talk about them a little bit too.
That's okay. We're pushing things back. Yeah, we're trying to. I don't want to get into that quite yet.
Yep, that's fine.
So downtown's good. I agree with you. I think a variety of some restaurants would be good. You know, we've kind of lost out on having a good Chinese takeout place. You know, we got them all, but
Panda Garden, I liked.
I miss Chinagate. So I was a Chinagate fan.
Yeah, and Panda Garden had the best Sunday buffet for I think under $10. You had all you could eat, and they were packed.
Right.
I'm not saying I was there a few times, but
maybe a couple times.
A few times.
But it was good. And
But
my wife and I were just in Lincoln, and we were talking about that, how that we don't have, we went and ate early and went and looked at the Christmas lights at the zoo. And then we got back to the hotel around 9 o'clock. And I'm like, I'm kind of hungry. So we DoorDashed some Chinese takeout to the hotel. And I was like, oh my God, this is so good.
One thing Panda Garden was always good for too. I always got a laugh when I went in there, and I know that sometimes they got bad reviews for being rude or whatever. I got a kick out of it. Like there were times that I would walk in or I would call for a takeout order, like if it was over noon hour at work, and I'd call and they'd be like, "We busy, you call back in 10 minutes, okay?" And like hang up on me. Yeah. And some people are just like, "Oh my gosh, they're so rude," but I just got the biggest
It was just
kick
their
out of it.
Personality.
But their food was so good.
Yeah.
And
it was.
Yeah. It cracked me up.
So yeah, I agree with you. The variety would be good. We have a lot of the same. We have plenty of barbecue places. We have plenty of pizza places. We have plenty of Mexican cuisine. Yeah, we got a couple of I would call fine dining places.
Yeah, I just think, growing up, we had Brass Lantern, a good steakhouse.
You're right. We don't really have like a comfort food spot anymore.
Greenery.
Yeah, I guess kind of forgot about
closest.
That would be the closest.
Double K. If they ever brought something back, please bring Double K back.
Hey, that lot's open. The car lot's gone now. Bring back Double K.
They're just, but they were priced right for a family. Their buck burger and their shakes were just amazing.
That was like a 64-ounce shake.
It was, but you got that and the container.
Yeah.
They'd mix it and they bring it to the table.
Oh, I remember that. There's still some places that do that.
So.
Huh.
But back to Norfolk, and someone said we need if you ever shop, take your kids to Five Below in Sioux City. So I get a little extra review for that. But Five Below in Sioux City, someone said we need a Five Below beside I forgot what restaurant they said, but they named a restaurant.
What's right? Five Below?
If you've never been there, go to Sioux City and take your kids. So they change out their inventory every
what type of store is it?
They carry everything from candy to headphones to cell phone accessories, but they call it Five Below because everything in it is $5 or below.
Okay.
But they flip over their inventory every 2.5 weeks.
So it's something
new all the time. So what I did a couple of years ago, we took all my grandkids. I gave them each $30, and I told their moms and dads, "You don't tell them what to buy."
Oof.
It's coming from Mimi and Papa. Yeah. We're giving them $30. If they want to spend it all on candy,
spend it all on candy.
Yep. I said, you guys have no say so, or you're standing outside the store.
Right.
And we're going to do it again, I think, in January or February, where I'm going to take them all over there and just bless them. I think those are memories. We just got done doing, we buy sugar cookies, and I'll show you some pictures here when we get done talking, but we had 2 8-foot tables full of nothing but, and we decorate them. We have all the grandkids over and they decorate all the cookies.
That's great.
Yeah. And just the memories of them coming and doing that. And man, they had frosting and we had, it was a mess. All right. But those are good messes.
That's okay.
Yeah. That's okay. That's what water and soap are for, right?
We call making cookies flour dust around my house when there's flour dust everywhere when we're making cookies. So yeah, I mean, and I think you're right. Norfolk's going in a good spot. I don't think we need to really touch on any more there, unless there's something you wanted to add to that part of it.
I just think they are. And like she said, I'm glad I'm still here. I think Norfolk provided us and a good life to grow up.
Do you think that you'd maybe be in the same headspace that you are now? You're such a happy person all the time when I see you. Do you think if you would have moved away, do you think you'd still be in this happy state that you are? And I know there's other factors that cause that, but
right, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But I'm just sad at that time. Is every day not perfect? Everybody says, "How can you be so happy, Jared, motivated?" Or I'm just me, And I guess I just try to do my best every day. And like someone said, a golden rule that stuck with me is just treat people like you want to be treated back.
Right.
No matter race, color,
anything.
anything. And I always told my kids, and don't you ever give anybody a bad time at school for what they look like, dress like, smell like, because you don't know if they're coming from a single parent home, their grandma's raising them, or they got a sibling raising them.
Or what kind of money they have.
Yeah.
And I said, you don't know if they ate last night. You don't know if they got a shower like you do every day. And so I was very particular about that with all my kids. Don't you dare, and I always told them, your teachers are there to teach you. If you have a problem, we'll go talk. And, if we got to switch out because just things don't work, but they're there to teach you,
Right.
So as they got older and they got in college, I'm like, now it's on you now, because if you don't show up for class, you paid for it. And that professor is still getting paid to teach that empty seat if you're there or not.
Right. So I'm glad you brought up college, because I've been asking everybody that has kids, how did you and Heidi kind of go through that with all 5 kids? Did they all go to college?
First 3, yes.
Okay, so on those 3, how much involved were you guys with the process of picking a college, whether they played sports or not?
So
what factors led you guys to where you're at?
So my oldest, Jade, she was a disc thrower for high, and she got looked at by Midland College in Fremont. So that's where she got a scholarship to throw down, or it's the weight. It's called the weight in the hammer.
Yep.
She loved doing that. So she did that for a while, and then she come out, and then she's actually a nurse up in Osmond now, and got her nursing done and all that, and then my son, Michael, Michael's always, all my girls said that he must have been, breastfed, because he was the smartest one. But Michael did it all on his own. He put the work in high school. And if anything you can tell your kids is that's one thing. If you stay busy with high school and you love where you go, take advantage of everything you can. And Michael did that. He got a full ride to UNO in Omaha. Coming out of there with a high social work degree, where his professors wanted him to come back and get his doctorate, and they were going to hire him to teach the course.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Mom and Dad, I'm like, yes,
right?
Yes, like,
right.
You're only 25 at the time, and I'm like, yep. So he come home that summer and he said, Dad, I'm going to take a break. I'm like, all right, go fishing, hunting, take a break off, do what you're going to do.
Right.
No, he said, Dad, it's a little different break than that. I said, okay, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going into the Peace Corps.
Wow. I'm
like, is that where you go learn a job and you learn a trade? And no, Dad, that's a job corps. And he said, this is the Peace Corps. So I didn't know, me being always worked,
yep,
not paying much what the Peace Corps is all about.
Yep.
He sat down and told us, and basically it's a one in a lifetime shot. It's like, take it or we won't look at you again.
Right.
And so he took it, and I'm like, okay, you can come back and finish. So, he took it 4.5 years in Ethiopia.
Wow.
And yeah, so with that though, he had a huge responsibility because of course he knew he had aging grandparents that probably wouldn't be around when he came back. So to say those goodbyes, that's tough.
That's a hard decision.
Yeah. And so the thing with the Peace Corps, thank goodness for Skype at sometimes, Ethiopia had the best internet connection ever. Just kidding on that. I'm just kidding. So, but no, we got a Skype with him and stuff. But his first commitment was for 2.5 years. He couldn't come home. So meaning the only reason he could, they'd red flight him home if the siblings or parents passed away, not grandparents.
And so the immediate
family. That's it. And so he did a huge thing, me, the normal American, thinking Ethiopia's flat, dry, bone dry. He was up in the mountains with beautiful waterfalls, beautiful churches that were built out of stone in the side of the mountains up on the part of the country he was in. And so, yeah, to see him and to hear his stories and to just see him carry on relationships even today and speak in the language, he'll call friends yet and talk, So, he's currently came back now. He did that. He's the area Young Life director here in Norfolk at the junior high level. And he's doing his college degree to become a minister.
What a great life experience for him.
And all I wanted for all my kids was to just do what you love to do every day. If that's, you're selling insurance. If you just do what you love to do every day, it won't even seem like a job.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I got Anita to even come work for me, was that, yes, we sell insurance, but we get to help people every day.
Yeah.
And that's how we look at it. We get to
build some cool relationships with some people.
So then Erica, the next one up, my busybody, she went over to Wayne State and got her special ed degree over there. Did a really good job. And she's been at Jefferson School now. She's a special ed teacher over there. So
that's awesome. So
my other two then that didn't go to college, but Sarah stepped up and she was higher up at a business here in Norfolk. And currently she stepped down from that and she's a para at Grant. And she's very busy with her family too. And she does a lot. And she actually took on an individual too. Plus all what she got going on. So she's very busy. And then Hannah, she is in the medical field with nursing and stuff. And she'll travel to different agencies and work for them.
So kind of like a traveling nurse?
Yeah.
That pays well.
She's a CNA, my bad.
Gotcha.
Traveling CNA.
So going back to the Mosaic stuff, when did you guys take on the two that you have?
So Sean has been about 5 years ago.
Okay, so not while the kids were still at home?
No.
I just didn't know if that had any influence on the special ed.
Well, no.
Okay.
No.
That's what I was wondering, if that had any kind of influence on that. But
all I hear, like, as you're talking about your kids and you're going down through, I'm like, honestly, I applaud you and your wife so much, because it's obvious in the things you've said and how you've talked about your kids that the values that you guys hold so dear have been passed right along to them. And they're not afraid of hard work, from what it sounds like. They're not afraid to put in the work, but also stick to those family ties and the things that I would say in life are truly important, besides not just the almighty dollar. So
right.
That's cool. I went to Midland too, by the way, but shout out Midland. They're a tough nursing school.
Yeah.
And I'll always say, I talk a lot about you and Heidi. You guys are just great people.
Well, I'm not trying to be anybody special.
That's the whole point, Jay.
I'm just
You're not trying.
I'm just trying to be
You're a very humble man.
And we'll get into that here in a little bit when we start, because I got a few things that, Yeah.
Well, I think we're probably to the point where I was going to say, let's get right into that infamous day in July of 2021. Can you walk us through what happened, what you can remember?
Yeah.
And then we'll kind of get into it. Yeah. So I'm just going to just a little bit for the people. Well, you go ahead. You just go ahead.
Well, it's started out, I went to work that day. I finally, on a day shift, working 10 to 8 at night, my Thursday night, ready to get off, and a buddy of mine's got a fancy car. His cruise weekend, July 20. Well, that was the 22nd, but it's July 23rd. But he's talking to me. He said, "Hey, man, you ever going to get that bike of yours out? Like, I never see you ride it. You never ride it. It's a nice weekend out." I said, "Yeah, I'm going to clean it up and get it out." So if people listening, my Uncle Don owned B&B Cycle here in Norfolk
I didn't know that.
Yeah, for 50. That's my dad's brother.
Okay.
So I was raised motorcycle gearhead, riding for a lot of years. So a lot of people remember B&B Cycle. And then my dad turned wrenches for him until I got hired at Nucor. And then my dad did side work at his place outside of Hoskins. A lot of people would take his stuff to him. But anyway, yeah. So it's not like I haven't been around motorcycles. So I had a 2004 Vulcan Kawasaki 2000. So you say, well, what's that 2000? It rated as 2030 cc, which was a 125-inch cubic motor. She was a beast. She was my baby. I just took probably good care of that.
You take good care of everything you own.
I just wanted a motorcycle I could ride, and I didn't have to downshift to pass somebody. You just grab another gear, and you were like, "See ya, try to catch me." But no, so that morning I was getting up, and I was just going down Norfolk Avenue, heading out to my physical therapy place to do some back work, and so I'm sitting there at the light on 25th Street.
25th and
Norfolk Avenue, going west. Caught the light and the weird, so we go I'm just cruising along, going by Casey's, and then bam. Next thing I know, I'm knocked out for a little bit. I don't remember how long, but I remember whoever showed up, they gave me their phone. And it's weird how the human body works, because all I know is I must have told him my number because Heidi's on the other line. I'm like, I wasn't screaming, yelling. I just said, Heidi, get here. Somebody just hit me on my bike.
And for the listeners, he was thrown about 25 to 30 yards with the bike.
Yeah. And so I remember setting my head back down, and the bill of my helmet, I was looking through, and I seen a bunch of white coats coming, because it threw me, thank goodness, kind of up on the lawn of Faith Regional.
Yeah, into the grass, yeah.
Into the grass area. And, well, actually along the curb, because later pictures that I found out, I was laying in the one drainage place where the water drains down in the street.
Okay.
So as I looked up, I heard him yelling, don't touch his head, don't touch his head, don't move him. And so I just took another breath, set my head down, and the bill of the helmet caught my head, and I'm out. So next thing I remember, I wake up, it's kind of foggy. I'm looking like down a tunnel, and there's Heidi beside me, a couple of my daughters beside me. She kind of looks at me funny, because, after you wake up and you're kind of all the medicine and stuff they use, she goes, can you hear me? I said, yeah, I can hear you. She goes, do you remember what happened? And I said, yeah, somebody hit me on my bike. And she goes, yep. And she took the blanket down, and she showed me my left leg, which was like in this big Eskimo cover. And I said, well, that's cool. It's like, but I wasn't in shock or nothing, because you're full of medicine and stuff. But she said, well, you lost part of your left leg. You got a broken foot on my right side. Oh, well, then it snapped my left femur in half up on my thigh.
My goodness.
Messed my right knee up so bad, they're going to wait to see if I can even walk. And then it fractured C2 and 3 in my neck. So I'm laying, I kind of said, well, where am I at? And she goes, you're in UNMC in Omaha. And I said, she goes, do you know what day it is? I said, okay. I was off. It was Friday. Probably a day went by. So I said, probably Saturday or Sunday. She goes, no, it's Tuesday.
Oof.
And so one thing people don't understand, I was like, no. It can't be Tuesday. It's either Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
When you lose that amount of time, it's just weird.
Now you were life flighted, right?
Yeah, actually, I seen the video, and we'll get into that when I finally got back home. But that's weird itself. But to see that and to watch that, And yeah, I was out.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a free airplane ride, but, but it wasn't, I shouldn't laugh about, you laugh about that, but to see your family.
You can laugh about it now.
Yeah, I can, but to see your family in the video, watch it, because they wouldn't allow them to come. They had to say goodbye in the hallway, my wife said, as they're pushing me out. And they wouldn't let them. She couldn't even go with them to the helicopter. Like, they they had to say your goodbyes here. And then.
So they didn't even know if you were going to make it.
Yeah,
because you were probably, from what the injuries you're stating, you were probably in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, they had, when I was down there, they had trouble doing the surgeries, Heidi said, because my blood pressure was so up and down, and they didn't know if I was going to make it through any of them. So by the grace of God, so I was 5 days at UNMC, or about a week, probably 7 days at UNMC. I started moving a little bit better. Great doctors down there, very good at whatever issue you have. They're very good there. Then I heard I was going to get moved to Madonna's, and I just took a deep breath, because through my 53 years of life, or now I'm 55, but Heidi's sister was through Madonna's. We had a really good, another family friend that was through Madonna. So we were very familiar with what they can do there. So I just took a deep breath and said, thank God I'm going they're not putting me in a hole somewhere. So I took a deep breath and just kind of closed my eyes and got into Madonna's, and right away I was in there. So many different team members, I had a great team there, but you're meeting everybody the first day they're in, because they're telling me tomorrow we're working you. Like, they're both of them ladies said, I hope you're ready to work, because tomorrow it's work. And I really didn't have much time. I felt a little bit better. How do you feel a little bit better when my attitude was, I had too much to lose to give up.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just said, I told them, both of them ladies, and I said, bring whatever you got. My exact words were, you bring it and I'm going to give you what I got. And they projected me there for 90 days to see where I might be at. Well, guess what? 30 days, I'm coming up to Osmond Hospital.
Holy
Wow.
smokes. Determination.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you talk about, everybody says, well, how'd you do it? Like, I don't know. I just had the drive. Like, I'm getting out of here. It wasn't like prison or nothing, but when you're in Madonna's in a place like that, 8 o'clock from 9 o'clock, you're here. 9 to 10:30, you're here. 11 to 11:15, you're doing this. And you got one choice. You can lay in that bed and throw a fit and not do it. No matter how it hurts, I was up doing it. And then my free time, I didn't even want to be in my room. I was in my chair doing the hauls. I could pick my own body weight up at that time. I was heavier, way heavier now back then. But I could pick myself up out of my chair, place myself in another chair, and slide board wherever I wanted to go. And man, my back muscles were so strong and stuff for pushing in that wheelchair. But I didn't like sitting. I had to be busy.
So do you think, I'm trying to think about this mentally. So you went from 5 days or a week at UNMC.
Yep.
You find out you lost half of your left leg. How did that not affect you mentally, or were you just so determined?
Well, so you asked that. And so my second night at Madonna's, and listeners out there, if anybody listening out there, when you lose a limb or a part of anywhere that had nerves on a wreck like I did, and like my neighbor, or it's not my neighbor, but the guy in the next door, he had bad circulation and he had his planned, right?
Yep.
So there's a little difference there. You're still losing a leg because of it, but not like an impact.
Right.
And so the pain was so unbearable. I use the expression like I was in the worst spot in my life ever, because everybody left, and that thing went on, and any amputee will tell you that nerve feeling in that stump, it would bounce, it would just take off and do weird things, and it was just angry, mad, trying to find where did it go,
where the rest
Where'd
of
the
it
rest
go?
go?
and no medicine took it, no nothing. So I told my daughter, go to Shields, buy me a mouthpiece, because I was chipping teeth.
Oh man.
And that night, as a man, I cried out to God, if you believe in God or not, and I do, but I just said, save me, because it was bad.
Intense.
So is that what pushed you to work so hard then too, to get through the pain?
Probably I'm stubborn, I guess. I'm full German. It's just, I got it in me, you know. And I thought, you know, each of us have a will.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking when you fill out and you leave your house to your wife.
Yeah.
I got a will in me. It just won't let me quit no matter what. And that's just me. My mom's always told me, well, Jay, you always can figure it out because you always do. Well, no, it's because I don't give up.
Right.
Yeah.
I might not have much over here, but I'm still not going to give up.
Right.
I got more to live for than that. And, you know, everybody asks, well, aren't you mad at the lady that hit you? Aren't you upset? Didn't even know her. You know, no name. Found out where she's from, yeah, down the line. But I knew that if I had anything in my heart, anger, any issues, I couldn't heal properly. So I had to clear that all out of my head. You know, I had to say, okay,
this is my new path.
yeah, this is it, you know. And God bless all the nurses. I thanked them every day. All my doctors, I thanked them every day. And they come in and say, Jay, man, we hate to see you go, man. You're like the party room because, but I said, no, guys, it's an attitude that you got to have. And trust me, not every day was perfect. No, but I made a decision. Like, I don't care how bad it hurts. I don't care what it takes, you know. And yeah, so after Madonna, then the funny thing is the lady come in, the occupational therapist come in after I think the third day. Jay, we're going to dress you today. You're going to dress yourself today. I'm looking at her with this big furry thing on one leg. I got a cast in, this whole leg's casted up with a neck brace on. And she goes, yeah, you're going to take the gripper thing, grab your shorts, put them over your leg, pull them up. I'm like, you're crazy, lady. Like, but you know what? It's just a different way of doing the same thing I was doing. Like a nurse told me, you're going to be able to do what you want to do just in a different way.
Right.
And so if you can adapt to that, excuse me, and overcome some of that. But you got to remember when you're there, I had my own nutritionist looking after me. They made sure I had the calories I needed, the everything I needed so my body could recover the best.
Right.
And I tell you what, people listening or what, you know, the human body can recover. It's remarkable what the human body can do
With the right fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and just the right
Mindset.
Yeah, mindset and everything.
I was going to say, yeah, the right mentality, because, I mean, the people asking you, aren't you angry? I mean, what's your choice? Like, if you're angry, it's not really going to change
Anything.
what happened in the past. All you have is this, like you said, the new path forward.
Right.
And anger is not going to get you moved there.
So when the time was to come back home or get here, and I don't know if the listeners know or if you filled them in, we were building our forever home. And so when my accident happened, the walls, roof, the basement was done. And so my wife, God bless her heart, she's a strong woman because she not only had to do all the stuff I was doing, but she had to, you know, we had to work together and our friends to sell a house. Thank God it sold right away, but to move a house, get it ready for me. And, I was supposed to be home probably a month earlier, but Heidi didn't want me in the house with boxes and
Right.
everything. And people don't understand. So the closest I got was Osmond, and I was up there for a couple weeks or 18 days or whatever it was. And I was blessed to be up there because my daughter worked up there. So I was more of a celebrity, I think, when I went up to Osmond, because they're like, hey, we got Jay Beltz up here. And they let my grandkids take me around the block, which I really appreciated that. I really did.
Can you explain why you were in Osmond and not in Norfolk?
Yeah. So I was sorry I skipped over that.
No, you're okay.
COVID was going on a little bit at that time. I tried to get into West Point, over by Battle Creek, Neely's Hospital, Yankton, Columbus. I tried to get into a lot of, and with my case, we were going to a step down bed facility. If they didn't have a step down, they called a step down type, they would not take me.
I just want to make sure that the listeners know this, because it's the same thing happened with my grandmother. We didn't allow her to, we didn't want her to leave in Norfolk.
Right.
But they were going to take her to Osmond for the step down.
Right.
So for listeners out there, it's basically Norfolk needs to have beds. They need to have a percentage of beds open.
Yes.
To take in new emergency patients. So when you're ready to, they call it step down. When you're ready to kind of be on your own a little bit, but still need to be monitored, they send you to Osmond, Columbus, other places. So I wanted to make sure they knew why you were not in Norfolk.
And so on my way through, when I got right outside of town, I just lost it. I started bawling like a little baby because I thought my dogs would forget me. That's weird, but
no, it's not weird,
because when I said, hey, I told my daughter, stop by the house. And, because I just want to see the dogs real quick. And before we head up to Osmond, and, most people that might not mean nothing, but I got to see my wife. I just got to see my house. 26 years there. Mm-hmm. Right. So that was kind of emotional for me. But yeah, I got up into Osmond, treating me very well up there. And then, and go ahead.
You go ahead. I was just going to ask you, so how long were you in Osmond?
So it's right at 18 days.
Well, that's not too bad. I was thinking it was longer than that. But
it seemed longer than that.
I'm sure it did.
Osmond, I love you if you're listening out there, but you need a cook. the food. So I got to tell you a funny story. People forget, I come from a facility. I'm getting 3 meals, snack every 3 hours. The best of the best, right? I love you, Osmond. I get up there, my first meal, they bring me this dome plate. I got 8 pieces of toast and a little thing of juice. And I look at her, I said, is this it? This all I get? So I put it out there to my friends. I'm like, somebody save me. Please bring me something up.
Bring me some food.
Right? And believe it or not, some good friends made me a big sheet, 8-inch deep pan of lasagna.
Oh,
yum!
I'm sure you were in heaven.
They brought it up on motorcycles, carried it up, pan and all.
Wow,
garlic bread and all. I said, just leave it in my room.
That's great.
Just leave it here. The lady come, you want supper tonight? I said, nope, I already got it.
I'm handled.
Had another buddy bring me a T-bone steak, mashed potatoes, and gravy up to me.
Great.
So I meant. I got good, living here this long, I had a good source of friends. Right. And, so yeah, after that, I finally got to get home into my forever home.
And going back to that, before you go further, your friends and Heidi having to take care of everything while you were still in the hospispital.
Right.
You had a couple of really good friends that were helping her with some of the stuff on that, right?
And come to find out, which way do I want to go? My kids put together my benefit at the O.
Yep. The poker run. I was going to get it. Yeah.
Or you got?
No, you go ahead. The poker. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they had come up to Madonna's and they already had it all planned out and they were doing all the work, ton of work. If anybody ever done a poker run, put on a run, you know it takes work. Well, I got amazing kids, amazing son-in-laws. And thank you, Northeast Nebraska, for, excuse me.
You're okay.
For stepping up. City of Norfolk, all the business around, it was amazing.
Yep.
But it took work.
Right.
And
a lot of people think things just happen.
You know what?
There's a lot of work behind the scenes.
I had biker clubs from Iowa, from Kansas, all over Nebraska send me donations just from other brothers telling them about what happened.
That's amazing.
And here's a little tidbit. I had 2 clubs out of Iowa and 2 clubs out of Omaha come up to my room at UNMC and come pray for me.
Wow.
Because some other brothers up here said, we got a brother down there. He got life flighted. And so don't think that all bikers are bad. They're not. Just because you ride a bike, you know, it's free wind and everything. So, but thank God for them people, because I didn't know them from scratch, but they showed up, found my room, found me, found where I was at, you know, and just that community, you know. But back up here to these guys that showed up to my benefit. Like I said, so I mentioned a lot of stuff with Team J now, that people that still support, not support me financially, but just stand behind in what I believe in,
right? You
know, or what I'm trying to do. And one thing I did start when I was up here, I started with another fellow amputee, Jody Lenton, was an amputee support group that I wanted to be able to not only help talk about it, but just find other possibilities or other issues that we all have in common, or
right.
Just because he knows how I feel. I mean, you guys are nice people and everything and great people, but it's hard to try to tell how I felt trying to tell you guys.
Right.
You see the emotions, but just to go through the pain of it, right? And so it's nice to get other amputees together. And then I still belong to one in Madonna's that I was hooked up to when I was down there. And most of those amputees are 30, 40 years plus. So me as a newbie, I'm like question after question. Tell me everything you got, right? Trying to, but with that benefit and everything, you know, like I said, just every small town around, small business around, the business around here in Norfolk, it just turned out, you know, but it takes work, right? It takes, I wasn't trying to be a superstar, the super guy, all that. To get back to Osmond real quick, I had a call from the Norfolk Daily News that they ran a story on me about kind of, you know, what we're doing right here. You asked me to come on, and so that ran too, you know. Now, out of all that, here's what I wanted to say with that. It's the bad. It's some of my coworkers that I worked with for 33 years, turn their backs and just throw me under the bus. Like,
can you explain that?
Well, I had a couple, man, what'd you do? Call the Daily News up and want them to come do a story on you?
Wow. That's
like, what? You think I'm going to call the Daily News and want me to,
right.
No,
I'm working my ass off to try to be able to walk again.
Right.
Why the hell would I?
And then, you know, just a couple other people. Yeah. Jay's benefit turned out great. Must be rough. Right.
Jesus.
Right. Like anybody listening or anybody, you know, we talked about, I'm just trying to be a normal guy doing a normal life. And the good that came out of that, but out of all the good, there's always someone that wants to knock you back down.
And just so people know, health insurance only covers so much.
So,
like,
to talk about some true numbers, if people want to know, I was over $1 million medically.
Right. See? Exactly. You had the flight. You had all the days in the hospital. Like, people, I just can't believe somebody would say that. Like, oh, the benefit, he must be doing just all right. Whatever. He had, you had so many costs involved.
and a lot of people don't understand either that, you know, it was, I did one of the guys that donated 2 days of his 3 days off to me until we got everything done in my house. So he's kind of like a rip, you know?
Yep.
He'll just show up, Jay, or what do you guys need done? Right.
Yeah.
But even still, a few months ago, they're still, well, I wonder how Jay and Heidi's making it. You know, they're in a brand new house. Jay's not working. Why am I still any part of your conversation?
Right.
And if it's any part of you want to know, you know where I live, come find me.
Yeah, exactly.
Not to be a bad
It's not like you're sitting in there hiding. You're out all the time. You're out doing stuff in the city all the time.
Just because my world's changed a little bit and we're trying to make the best of it.
And first of all, you were already building the house.
Right. It
wasn't like you got the house afterwards.
Well, then I want to come back and say, well, geez, why are you working 7 days a week? And what do you do with all your money?
Right.
I'm only working 5 days a week, but you got to work every weekend. but I don't get anybody's business. It's not. It's none of my business.
Right.
But it's just bad at people when so much good went into it. Believe it or not, I had someone tell me they had a buddy in a motorcycle accident, and I just ran across this when I got back. But he goes, well, how come they didn't do a benefit for my buddy and they did one for you? Well, because my kids don't know you. They don't know your buddy. I'll support him. I'll support him any way I can. Somebody's
got to start it. It can't be. Yeah.
That's what I didn't understand. It set me back a ways thinking, if you think this just appears just to appear, it takes work. And my daughter was going to college she had a full-time job. Her kids, all my kids were working at the time and still doing all to set it up and to make a go of it. But I appreciate, if you're listening out there and you know my story, great. I want to say thank you for everybody that just put stuff up for the auction. If you gave a donation, thank you very much. I try to, just so many good people out there in Northeast Nebraska. I'm not saying Norfolk only, but everybody that took part.
Right.
Plus you're thinking, I lived here for 55 years. So just my common places I go do business.
Right.
They want to help, right? Too. And they did.
Right.
Just out of the goodness of their hearts.
Right.
My church, First Christian Church, they came down and blessed me when I was at UNMC yet. Family church is huge. To have a church family.
Yeah.
Yep.
That actually care about, no matter how big they are.
Right.
They care about their individuals inside.
We like to call it like a community.
Yeah.
Of people that help each other out. Yeah.
Yes. So that's some of the bad in all that. That kind of set me back and shocked me.
As it would anybody. Yeah. We talked a little bit before the podcast, and you had kind of started to bring this up, and I said, well, you hold off. You tell it when you want to tell it. I can't believe the nerve of people to think in that way. We talk about that a lot on the podcast, how we, people don't want to see people succeed. They don't want, I just don't get where that mindset comes from.
And I think people just get jealous if you're somewhat successful, no matter what you do. I'm not trying to be a multimillionaire at all. I'm just trying to go through life doing what I know what I think is best,
And what you love. And like, money aside, I mean, like, to have something that traumatic happen, not only to you, but also to your family. And like, if they truly didn't even take the time to sit down and think about, if I was in Jay's exact position, how would I want people to treat me? And what would I want people to say to me?
Right. And so Another thing with a couple of my coworkers, I'm going to say their names because I love the guys. One is Steve Johnson. Another one's Paul Rosner and Roger Pojar is the three. So Steve Johnson, he helps Beltz for White Cliff or Dover. Or he's doing his own thing. But when I got home, he said, "Hey, Jay, I got you something." I said, "Well, that's cool. Thanks." I opened my garage door and he built my whole handicap ramp in my garage.
Oh, he did that?
He did that.
Wow, it's a decent sized job.
Yeah. And he gave his time and stuff. And White Cliff gave the material.
That's great.
Yeah. And so and then Roger, he's the one that's been there doing all the other extra stuff. And my good buddy, Paul, that I've known for a lot of years, has helped me out too. And, but when you have people that you think, "Hey, I'll be there. Just give me a call. I'll be there." Well, you find out.
You find out real quick when something happens to you?
Yeah, real quick.
Which ones are actually going to be around?
Yeah. And so did it faze me? It kind of shocked that I didn't see a few of them, but hey, that's okay. You find out, and through this whole process, I've learned I've gained more new friends, and out of it,
ones that'll maybe be there. Are you talking like ones that'll maybe be there more for you, or like what do you?
Well, just people
that you maybe wouldn't have met otherwise.
Yeah, I got great neighbors where we moved, where they're all we built our forever house, and like you said before, I think everybody's like, "Well, must be rough and all that." Well, they don't realize my other house, we were there for 26 years.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that don't happen over a period of time.
You raised your kids there.
Right.
Right.
And that's just hard sometimes. Some people just got to I don't know, just want to be nosy, I guess. And
for anybody that says that you're doing so well, Jay, whatever with your, whatever you got. But I want everybody to know, and Jay and I have had this conversation many times, he would much rather be working right now than to not be.
Yeah. If you don't think so, if you don't know me, I come from one of the demanding jobs around town anyway with Affiliate Foods. We went through a period there where it was called IDS, changed their computer systems. This is just one instance, but it put us into a 4-month span of 120-hour work weeks. And I just got to the point, I told my wife, if they don't change something, like, we're out of here, because you're working 6 days a week, 16 hours a day. You come home, sleep, do it again. That's why I said I got to work with the same 18 guys for 33 years.
Right.
And I consider them brothers. I'll call them up today. I'll take them over any young team that think they can outwork us, because I know I can count. No questions asked.
Yeah.
We never bicker with each other. We just buckled up, got it done. And, but yeah, I would rather trust me, I would take a leg over any amount of money today.
Right.
And that's no lie.
Right.
People said, "Well, bull crap." No, seriously. If
you can see it in your face, you can tell it by the way you talk.
Yeah. I would rather want to be able to kneel on the floor, kneel on my knees, sit on the floor regular, get back in the swimming pool, put a pair of pants on. Hopefully I can do that with my new leg that I got.
Looks great, by the way.
Thanks you.
Yeah.
I was going to go with Cocomelon or sriracha hot sauce.
Yeah.
But Heidi said that's too bright. So I went with the Stranger Things.
It looks good.
Yeah. So, but no, so yeah. So I think, and people don't realize what kind of, we talk about a little bit, pressure it put on me and Heidi. I shouldn't use the word pressure, because there was a couple of times I got home where I needed help, and my own, not to say this in a bad way, my own wife or son wouldn't help me.
Yeah.
But they were stretching me.
They were trying to make you get,
Just see
if you could do it yourself.
And I don't know if you can rate this out or
My
not.
wife would do the same thing.
but-
My wife would do the same thing to me.
But I just gotta, people might laugh about this, or if you got some business people, I don't know. But I got my piss and vinegar. When I get to that point, just I'm German. I'm like, I'm going to do it regardless how bad it hurts or whatever. Right. But I just was in a position where I needed help.
Right.
But they just kind of looked at me. Well, figure it out.
Yep.
Not to be rude.
No.
But they were just trying to stretch me.
Yeah. So you didn't get used to, they wanted you to be able to do the things that you wanted to do without help.
And so my other friend told me at Madonna's, said, you're responsible for your chair. Nobody else is. And if anybody out there has ever been in a wheelchair, what he's saying is make sure your chair is locked. It's your job to lock it, because twice I didn't lock it and I found out what it does. Yeah, it does move backwards and you fall.
Yes.
So that's not a good feeling either. So, but yeah, so when I got home and stuff, I think I was just telling Heidi this the other day, and actually I went to talk to my investor too. He even said a lot of people, not like me, but retired people, when you work that long, like I have to, and you lose that, everybody said, well, it must be rough. All you do is sit at home and be able to do this, do that, go fishing, run here, do that. Yeah, but they lose their purpose.
Right. You got to.
He said there's more people out there that don't have a purpose no more.
Yep.
And I was telling Heidi that she just told me, she says, you got to find you again.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, I got to find me again. So.
Has this accident given you like any new outlooks on life? Cherish things a little more? Make time for things that maybe you didn't in the past? I'm going to let you think about that one. We're going to take a quick pause, maybe use the restroom real quick. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
All right, we're back. We kind of had to take a little pee break there.
Yeah.
So going back to the question I asked, has this accident given you any new outlooks on life? Do you cherish things more? Do you feel like you're making more time for things that maybe you didn't in the past? Kind of give us some insight on that.
So, yeah, I have to say yes, yes, and yes. So with the first one, it was if I take a different insight, or if I cherish things.
Take a different outlooks on life, cherish things a little more, yeah.
Yeah, so, and I talked to my wife about this. If you're listening, or when you do listen, take time to talk to your wife or girlfriend, I should say. But because I feel I'm just not the person I used to be, just with all the tragic stuff that happened, what I've been through. When you're laying on the table wide open and you don't know if you're going to wake up. If that doesn't change you, I don't know if anything would, but it did me. So yeah, any moment I get now, like with Christmas coming, this will be my third Christmas since, the accident. First one wasn't very good, coming back, because I couldn't do very much. This one, I can do a lot more, but I just want to, it's not about the present. It's not about the gift. We all have 24 hours in a day, right? It's how you spend that 24 hours for me.
It's the time you spend.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you can always make money. You can always get stuff. You can't get back your time.
So you probably don't waste a whole lot of time anymore, is what I guess.
Well, a lot of people say, well, what do you do all day? You just run around, you do here, go there. No, my birthday, I ran up, I had lunch with my granddaughter up in Osmond. I try to spend more time with my grandkids, invest in them. Not saying I don't waste time, but I just look at it differently.
Right.
Making those sugar cookies.
Right. Doing stuff like that, memories. The electronic people are going to probably hate me, but when they all come over for Christmas, I think I'm going to take all their cell phones away and just put them in a box.
To a cell phone
Amen.
basket.
Yeah. And
I like that idea. We were debating on doing that.
And go back to, Michael has last couple of years printed up Christmas songs, and we sing them as a family in the garage.
That's great.
Yeah, just as a group. Doesn't matter if you're loud, you're off key. It's about just doing stuff together as a family.
Doing it together.
Yeah. So I just look at things a little different. I do cherish everything I can, but it's mainly time, because that's something I've been blessed to where we built at. I get to see the most beautiful, if you ever see some of my pictures, sunsets ever.
Storms coming through.
Or storms coming. But I look at that and seeing a thing posted, like even sunsets, even those, you only got so many.
Right.
We don't know how many we all do. And I'm not a gloom and doom type person, but it sets me back. And with that, I got to tell you, I was last weekend, I was making I wanted some taverns. So if you don't know what taverns are, loose meat sandwiches, manwiches, but I call them taverns, whatever. And it threw me back. I was making my grandma's recipe, and it put me back on the farm when I was 10 years old with my grandparents. Just simple life. It just automatically took me back there. And I was just I just sat and relished about that, because those are memories that's just in here, right? It's in me. And that's something I want to teach my grandkids, to hopefully pass down with, just certain things to them.
Yeah, live in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Especially when memories are coming back, because sometimes you don't always think about that kind of stuff all the time, and then when they come rushing back, it's like, wow, this is great.
Yeah, and just I have the opportunity to take up my grandkids to Little Panthers, and she's every day, Papa, can we go to McDonald's? And first time I have Jackson, is her brother. I picked him up from the park. Papa, can you take me through Scooters? I'm like, man, I'm going to have to get a Scooters card, a
Right.
McDonald's card. And how do you tell them no? I mean, how do you say no to that?
It's probably tough as a grandparent to do that. My parents to my kids are the same way.
It's like, man, they just look up to me like I'm their Superman, and
Right.
and I don't take them, then man, they're going to hate me the rest of their lives. So,
Also-
but I think grandparents, I'm in a different role. If that makes sense too, with my kids, I never did put limitations on my grandma and grandpa.
Right.
With my own kids. So I just hope they don't try to put limitations on me, and just let us be grandma and grandpa. Let us have our memories with them.
It doesn't sound like they are.
Well, no, but sometimes they they don't need that, or why'd you get that for them, or,
Right.
why'd you sugar them all up and send them home?
Right.
But I just want to try to be the best grandparent I can be, because me growing up and remembering my grandparents, they're already older, where they couldn't go to softball games or
Right.
high school events, or God bless their hearts, they would if they could have, but they
Right.
were just at that age where they couldn't.
Well, yeah, with you having your first one at 19, you're still in your prime with the grandkids now.
Oh yeah. Heidi's 53 and I'm 55.
Yeah, you guys are just in the middle of your life.
I mean, we were going through Walmart. We'd have two carts, and Jade was maybe pushing the third with the two of them in it.
Yeah.
And people would look at us like, well, I shouldn't use that word, but what are they doing with all that? And
Yeah.
I'm just being,
Right.
But to get back to that real quick, I want to tell you, I grew up, my first house was a 1963 Chickasaw trailer that sat right across from Johnson's Park, right along the railroad tracks.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you guys know, I thought it was Old Man Something's trailer court.
Yeah, they just tore the last one down.
Yeah, but
Not that long
mine was
ago.
right by the tracks. You could put ice cream in the cupboards and it would stay all winter long. I mean, I thought I had it made. I had a 1963 that Chickasaw trailer. I had a 73 Chevelle SS, 650 Yamaha Special, and a pet rabbit. And I thought I had the world by the,
Yep.
just a simple life, right?
Right.
But yeah. So anyway.
No, you're good. That's a great story.
So
You can't beat a simple life.
Yeah. And I think even today in school were you raised farm, city?
I wasn't city. I was city. She was farm.
I'm farm. Yeah.
I think a great way to get kids today is put them on a working farm.
Yep.
Show them how to pull thistles, fix a fence, scoop poop.
That's one thing that even though I was a city boy, my mom owned Holiday Auto Sales, so I grew up detailing cars.
That still work.
Yep. Not super grimy, but I mean it was hard work, making sure all the cars are clean customers' cars coming through. And
Yep.
that's what I did all through basically since I was 13.
Right.
So,
but yeah, I just want to take and do something special with the grandkids. And like you said, I meant over Thanksgiving, a lot of people know what Phase 10 is. I don't know if you guys play
Love Phase 10.
It gets pretty evil at my pretty aggressive.
I've never heard of that one.
It's different.
Card game.
Yeah, different phases you got to do with cards.
Okay.
And if one goes out, you got to count points up.
Gotcha.
And then they got skip in there, so you skip people. And I told my kids that they're like ganging up on me, so they lay a skip, and I'm like, well, you keep one more and you're out of the wheel. And they're like, you're gone. Like it gets pretty intense. But
so even like with your kids and the grandkids, you've kind of got to be a pretty good role model with what you've gone through, right? Don't you think? Do you think your grandkids see that or no?
I don't. I just try to. Am I perfect? No. Do I still get upset, mad? Yes.
Well, nobody's perfect,
but I don't demand, but even my grandkids, if they get a little sassy and stuff with me, they still my grandpa had a woodshed, and if you'd back talk or say one word, they had willow sticks. We all know what a willow, and you shave it off. Oh, that's beating your kid today. That's
yeah.
No, I didn't.
You can say whatever you want. It's okay.
but I was brought up just saying, but even today, if I see an older gentleman or older lady, it's yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
Right.
I was never in the Army, never in the service.
Right.
God bless some people that did. I just show them respect.
Yes, ma'am, yes, sir, please, thank you.
I still open doors for other people. And that's another thing. Thank God, when I came back with this and I started doing a little bit better and a little bit better as we're going here, I told every of my friends, don't you change a thing if you invite me over. I already feel bad enough.
You didn't want accommodations? Is what you're saying?
Right. Because I wanted to be part of the group again.
Treat me
Just
like me.
Jay.
Yeah.
Don't treat me like
right.
You're
It's
still
not
Jay.
like I'm coming over to Zach's house. Hey guys, Jay's coming over, so we got to clear this out, or we got to move everything outside.
Right.
He can't do steps, or I already feel bad enough.
Right.
Of what I can't do, or what I have to fight every day to do.
Right.
And that's another thing you said. Well, Jay must have been rough, but I want to tell people I still fight every day to even though I'm in a good mood, it's still a will to do it.
Right.
And not every day's perfect.
Right.
And a good coach out of Lincoln, he's a football coach. He's an amputee for 30 some years. He said, Jay, I hope your good days outweigh your bad days.
Mm-hmm.
Just trust me, not every day is going to be good. That didn't scare me. He just let me know. And this someone's 40 plus years. I'm only in it 2.5.
But that's good advice
Right
for
now.
anybody.
Right.
Right.
He just let me know, hey, bud, stick with it. Not be careful of some things to do and not to do. And so you kind of adapt to some different things, just maybe doing them in a different way. But man, I tell you what, I can shower, get out of the shower, put this thing on faster than you can say bang now.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Because I don't know, if you never had to mess with a prosthetic of any way or sort, or have a friend or grandma, grandpa with one or whatever, I hope you never do have to. But just be patient with them and know that, hey, they're just trying to be them too,
Right.
I know you mentioned that you started an amputee group here in Norfolk, right?
Yep.
Like a support group.
Yep.
How has it grown? Has it got a lot of traction? Do you have? Maybe there's not even that many people around to be part of it, but how instrumental has that been for you?
That's why we named it Northeast Nebraska Amputee Support Group. We had our first meeting a few years back at Perkins, had a great turnout, got people's names and numbers. Then after the time and meetings go, it kind of was just me, Jody, and his wife, which is fine because if you don't know Jody Lanton, sorry, Jody, I used your name. He's a double amputee. He was called Flames or Fire Legs. So he had one done, and in a few years he had another one done. And now his wife has an amputee too. So, I tried to hold meetings, library, college, put it out there. I thought I was doing some good, and it just kind of just me and Jody. We tried different restaurants in town to have it in case people wanted to eat. Food likes to bring people together, talk, just talk through some issues. And so after, I don't know, last year sometime, it tried to have a Christmas party. I to get people together, just come out. And I just wasn't getting no feedback. Me and Jody, which was fine. I was fine with me and Jody. But we both agreed that there are other people out there. And I know there are. And I still got to reach out to a couple more that I've been given a name to a couple that just want someone to talk to.
Are they maybe just afraid to take that step to be out and?
Well, I think yes. I think, but some people are after if they're not going through nothing, then why do I need to go?
Sure.
Right.
So what's it going to do for me if I don't if I go?
In my opinion, maybe. I'm not trying to sound bad here, but maybe they could help somebody else. Maybe they're not going to get the benefit that maybe they think they're going to get, but maybe they could help another person.
And that's what my projected outlook on it was, hey, if I can get Jody, he's a double amputee. I'm only a single.
Yep.
But he's been in the game a lot longer than I have.
Right.
And that's why I looked at him to get advice from him.
Right.
Even though he's a different case. Or I had a single arm guy from birth. He a farmer that he basically doesn't even wear it, and he said that everything got in the way, and he learned to wrenched on tractors with one hand and figured it out.
Probably better than some people would too.
And he's up 86, retired now, but he showed up, and it's good to see all different types of old, young. I had a younger girl show up, and she was a double below the knee, and she was working out at the Y, running, like a miniature Blade Runner.
Right.
And with that, I had I was trying to educate people a little bit about amputees too, because as I went through my daily things, I'll never forget this. It's funny. I went to Jackson's, one of my grandson's soccer game at the Y. Pull up on the bench, and I had to readjust my leg and stuff, so I pop it off, and there's a family sitting, and Dad and the two little younger brothers watching older brother. Dad, look at what happened to his leg, and I heard it,
right.
And because they're kind of sitting from me to you and you too, and I'm like, hey, don't play soccer, man. Soccer accident. And you should have seen them kids as their eyes got really big, like, Dad, he lost it on soccer. And, so it's just like, you joke around, but if Heidi's daycare, man, they'll come bring the thing to me or the prosthetic to me. They'll bring my socks to me. Papa, what do you need next? And they're only, just
right.
And but all they want to know is what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Well, this is what it looked like now.
Right.
They're not afraid of it. They're just full of questions.
Right.
And I think that's important. And I still get looks. I mean, I still hear, with more people around, or see me, and I tell them, either at Walmart or Hy-Vee or where am I at? Hey, it's okay if they ask. I don't mind if they ask.
Right.
I'd rather be honest with them. I was in an accident. I lost my leg, and this is what I got.
Right.
Just straight up. You don't got to go into details or nothing.
Right.
You're just,
yeah.
That's great.
So
sometimes that exposure also leads to acceptance in other ways too. I mean, like if these kids wouldn't have had any exposure to you and helping you with some of this stuff, I don't know. I do feel like over the course of life, whether it's food, whether it's working with people, sometimes the more exposure you get to things, the more your mentality of what that person's gone through, what different things are with their life. I mean, you just look at things in a little slightly different way.
I think if everybody asks, us three sitting in this room, we're all different, right? Everybody says, well, man, I want to be that person that's 6 foot, 180, built, blue eyes, blonde hair, whatever. But if God made us all like that, we'd all look like robots running around.
Right.
Yeah.
We won't be who we are today.
Yeah.
Right.
I think God made us the way we are. And, that's the way I look at, and that's another thing. I just have a lot of different types of people in my life that God put in my life. And, here's one quick story. This just happened. I just had a friend. We're at the gas station. She's talking about, she has another friend, 2 kids. Her 14-year-old son wants an old console radio record player, 8-track player with the radio in it.
Heck yes.
So he can listen to his grandpa's records.
That's great. I was like that when I was younger too. I wanted the 8-track. I had the 8-track player in my bedroom.
So I put action to it, reached out to all my buddies, because I've been here forever.
Yep.
Know a lot of people. Well, guess what I delivered today? I delivered a record player, even come with the microphones, the 8-track.
Wow.
2
That's amazing.
hoods to it.
Wow.
To a little boy I don't even know. I just caught his story.
That's great.
But see, and like I said, I'm just being a normal guy. I just overheard a need for a little boy looking for something. I don't need nothing from you. It's not about that.
Right.
It's about be able to give something like that.
You made that kid's day.
His sister once, I heard, a new iPod or some new tech thing, right? All he wants to do is listen to his grandpa's records.
That's amazing.
That's so cool.
And I thought, why not?
Right.
Like if I can make his day, why not?
That's awesome.
And who knows what he might turn out to be, whatever, maybe do what you're doing. Who knows what that could change his life.
All it takes is one step.
I'm just trying to bless a little boy that's wanted something for Christmas.
That's awesome. That's great. You're doing stuff like that. You do a lot of stuff like that.
Well, I just, another buddy of mine, I dropped by and he had a tragedy in his life, and had his whole family there. And I just gave him a big hug, and I won't tell you how much, but I just had a big, excuse me, I went by the mic, a big pile in the middle of the table. But I just felt led to give him X amount of dollars. And I had his brothers and his just all come give me a hug. I said, I'm not trying to be a hero.
Yep.
I just knew him and the tragedy they went through.
Right.
And I'm just trying to help.
Yep.
Paying it forward.
Like Northeast Nebraska and what they did for me.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just felt like I needed to do what I needed to do. I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm not trying to be Superman, all this other stuff.
Right.
I just felt that I knew I was doing the right thing at the time.
You give where you feel is necessary, which is fine.
Yeah.
Do you feel like before your experience, you would have been compelled to do and listen for the same things? Like I have had conversations with one of my really good friends about really mindful listening to others sometimes. And I feel like there are events that can sometimes change your perspective. And do you feel
in
like
life,
you would have picked up on some of those things and done the same kind of actions?
I think with the radio thing, I would have, because I just felt that it just says, hey Jay, you know a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm older, but a lot of my older, 55. A lot of my friends, their parents or grandparents that they all have. I said, geez, these things should be buried under the garage in the basement,
Right.
stacked with a bunch of stuff on it, not doing anything anyway.
And they all still work.
Yeah, and
that's the crazy part.
Right. And so I just thought,
Yep.
and I just know I think if you talk to my wife and my son, I'm not a giver. So I'm trying to change that outlook on them, saying I do care.
Yeah.
You know, I actually do care. So, and like you said, money's a tool. If you use the tool correctly, it can help change your life, you know, and do great things.
Right.
But if you let it control you, I think that's where people get the misdirection of that.
They miss the point of life, honestly.
Right.
So this is going to be a bad question to ask now because we're getting kind of late into the podcast. But you answer this in the most elaborate way you want to. Okay.
Yep. Do it.
So what advice do you have for any other amputees out there who are maybe struggling with what happened to them? And maybe you can tie that back into your support group or
right. I would say if you're fighting, if you're struggling, which I know a lot of there are. I know a couple of guys right now that they have to want to reach out, right? They have to. You'll have to want to go get it. If you want to sit and mope in it and sorry, I keep walking over.
You're okay.
Don't drag yourself down in it. You know, you just.
And I guess the hopes would be they maybe listen to this podcast and hear your story and maybe want to reach out to you.
That's great. You know, if someone wants to, and that's where you become an amputee. There's a name for it, but like a mentor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like an amputee mentor. And I had one when I was in Madonna's that they have a group that belong there that every amputee that comes in, it's my choice if I want them there or not. But of course I do because I want to know, hey, you know, I had this one guy in Madonna's show up. It was just a year later. He said, Jay, I lost my leg. He said, and he brought his phone. Guess what I did today? I said, well, what'd you do today? He had a video of him ice skating.
Wow.
After 1 year later.
That's crazy.
But that's dedication, putting the work in to do it. Well, and I feel so good with my new leg. I said, man, I might try to go bowl now. I can almost speed walk with this thing now. So it's going to change my life.
I was going to say, you were walking pretty fast to the bathroom.
So a lot of people, you know, and a lot of people don't know. I don't even know if you knew in March of this year, I had cellulitis infection in my good leg.
I did know that.
And so I was 28 days in the hospital, which they said I was septic.
Yep.
So people use the word septic. That's not good.
Nope.
They were going to cut this leg off. My good leg.
Yep.
So they were like 2 dots away from saying it would have went past my knee up into my thigh.
Yep.
They're cutting it off.
It was ugly. It was ugly.
Yeah, it was ugly.
It didn't look good.
A lot of people don't understand. I just been through a battle lately. It's just been a battle.
Yep.
But I've been healthy. Everything's great so far.
You look good right now.
But it changes your life, and you put on extra pounds here or there because you're just not normal. You can't be healthy, right? So I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get healthier.
You look healthy,
and I feel
you do.
I'm a side of beef.
Whatever. You look good.
So, but yeah, I would just tell them, hey, hang in there, don't give up, and knowing that, hey, there is help out there. Just reach out.
Right.
Just take that one time to reach out.
It's always the one step.
Yeah. And if there's someone will be there to help. You know, if not, if you listen to this, you need help. Hey, Zach, and I'll leave him some information and you can give me a holler.
We can even post it on, I don't want to post your personal information on Facebook, but we can maybe open up like a Q&A. If people don't want to reach out specifically, they can do a Q&A through the Facebook page. Yeah. And then we can always do another episode with you just answering.
You know, and I tried to reach out. The hospital did reach out and they wanted us to do it there. I'm not biased, but I asked Jody. I wanted to do like you're doing. I wanted to stay away from like any group.
Yep. I
wanted to, so people wouldn't feel like, oh, this is the hospital. And they just don't like hospitals.
Right.
You know, I wanted to make it more personal and be able to sit down and let their guard down.
Yeah.
Right. And just be them.
Be able to ask the questions that they want and not feel like they're being judged or looked down on or is there a lot of I shouldn't assume anything, but is there a lot of depression involved with some amputees? Have you seen that in other amputees?
Well, just even there's periods of my time too.
Yeah, I was going to. I didn't know if you wanted to go into that or not.
But see, that's where that mind game comes in, and I just had to tell myself, okay, stupid. You know, I'm not weird. I'm not psycho, but you got to. I looked myself in the mirror and said, hey, it's go time.
Right.
And I am dead serious. I sat in my room in Madonna's and I just, if I'm crying at the time or not, I say, I just tell myself, shut up.
Right.
Shut your mind off and say, you're done emotionally. Just, we're going to do this. We're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, great. And people don't understand if you're weak up here, then I could have all the muscles in the world.
Right.
But there's a lot of
weak-minded.
Mind stuff that goes along with this too. It's just
not
about being strong. Yeah, right. I can get up and walk, but there's a lot of emotions that go.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said weak-minded. Mental,
yes,
a mental toll that it takes on your
and that's why I wanted some other people to group in amputees where you just talk, let it out.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean about even when we talk about it, it's just getting what's bothering you, because there is stuff that I battled. Just be able to use the bathroom normally and just do simple things, that everybody else can do normal. Just take it for granted.
Right.
Until like this happens.
That's half the reason why I started the other podcast that we do, the Useless Assumptions, was because I just really wanted to just talk and get some of my emotions out on that other, the other podcast. And that's half the reason why I started it, was to get some of my frustrations of the world out.
Right.
And, everything.
Right.
So I get it.
Right.
Sometimes you just got to voice it out.
Yeah.
So taking a whole turn here, and I didn't warn you about this.
Go ahead.
But I always warn everybody, and I forgot to warn you. We're going to get a little political. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great.
So with an election year coming up, how do you feel about where the state of the country is right now? And do you feel that we are being well represented at the federal and state levels?
You mean just as a person, what my beliefs are?
How you feel? How do you feel do you feel the country's in a good spot? Do you feel we're being well represented?
Man, you're putting me on the spot.
I know.
That's terrible.
I've asked everybody this question. So if you don't want to answer it, it's totally fine.
Well, no, I just think my opinion is I look after my son because God will take care of it. Tell you the truth, I don't. I'm worried more about even what kind of country my grandkids are going to grow up into.
Right.
I mean, I've been fortunate enough to live 55 years and have a good life. I worry more about what their future, it means more to me than anything.
Right.
I would definitely, but as far as the country, my opinion is I can't believe they can't find anybody like to run our country.
Right.
I think it is messed up to a point.
We talk about this a lot, how they're just career politicians that don't really give a rat's ass about anybody, really.
Right.
Except for their own accord.
And, me, I have a huge issue because with this accident, a lot of people don't know. I chose not to go back to work, but the first thing work did to me, I couldn't return back into my allotted time. So what do? They take my insurance away. And I worked 33 years for my health insurance, worked for that every single day. And to have that taken away. So for me, my life's changed where now it's healthcare. And we talked about that.
We did.
Our country, and I'm finding out now because I didn't have to worry about it. If you're a working person, you really don't have to worry about it.
If you're a working person and it's a work provided
insurance
group
right.
plan. It's you don't have to worry about it.
Right. But if you're taken out somehow or something, you have a change in your life, lose your job, whatever it is, I wish we had a one government insurance. It's based off whatever you make, tiered, but you all of us in this room could get the same care, but what you pay is determined on how much you make. Some people make, Jay, that's not right, whatever. But when I was in the hospital, I had a minister come when I was up there in March. He said there was a young fellow that had brain cancer and they were refusing to work on him because he didn't have insurance. And to me, that just, I just don't know where this world is going to go with my grandkids if you're not, or your guys' kids at the time or whatever, how that's going to look by the time they're 30.
Well, hopefully there's going to be some systems put in place soon.
I guess so. If you're asking, I just, and I think what once again with politicians, and everybody agree is you're running, I'm running. Next thing, here's an ad against you, an ad against me, all this false information. So
we talk about that too, how it shouldn't be a fight. It should be just talking about the issues and talk about those only. There's no need to.
Right.
Especially, we talk about a lot on the podcast about how even just one side of it. So we talk about the left and the right. You got people that are supposed to be working together on one political party, and they're fighting against each other because they're running for president. Like that does nothing for the American people. Right. To get issues resolved or to know who to vote for at that point.
Right. And I think that's even with the healthcare system, find a better system that people can understand what you're getting or what you can get.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I think there's just more.
Well, there's just so many different avenues to go.
Right.
Now that maybe it wasn't that way in the past. I think that healthcare, whatever people think, Obamacare was not a good thing to put through for everybody to make it where if you didn't get it at the time, well, you're going to get a tax. Like if you didn't go get health insurance, you were going to have a tax penalty put on you.
Right.
Like what if people don't if they took away the choice of it? And I get why they wanted to try to implement something like that. It was for underprivileged people, but it kind of has made it difficult for the average person who doesn't have work provided health care to have an easy system to get it.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, we'll get away from politics.
Go
politics.
Right. So
Jay for president. That's what I hear.
Yeah, Jay for president. So kind of, we're going to try to kind of wrap up here. Where do you see yourself going in the future? Are you enjoying where you're at now? Obviously, you probably see yourself staying in Nebraska, probably especially Norfolk. I mean, you built your forever home.
Well, yeah, but I'm always one. I've been looking at other things, mountain homes and stuff down in Arkansas and cabins and stuff. No, but I know you wanted to touch a little bit. My kids challenged me to do something I love to do. So I started cooking. So I know we talked about, it's been a process. And I remember down in Madonna's was another lady from Alabama. She goes, man, you must like to cook. I said, yeah, I like to cook. She goes, you make homemade pie? I said, well, I can cook some pie for you. Man, she goes, you should cook me some homemade pie. I'd come see you every day. And so she was saying, well, what you going to name your thing you want to do? Well, I said, probably JJ's Kitchen. Nah, she goes, I like one-legged barbecue instead, or call it one-legged. And so that kind of got me going there a little bit, but yeah, so I got some people, just on Facebook and stuff. I haven't thrown it out there. If I do get rolling it, I'd like to just leave it as JJ's Kitchen, Yeah. And so since the last time we talked, yeah, I got a lot of response. Like I said, I lived here my whole life. I got a lot of people that I know that hit me up. Hey, you're going to cook? I want you to do a our birthday party or a wedding anniversary and a graduation. And next thing I know, I got companies call me and I run to a person at the hospital, say, come up here. And people like you that own come on by, Jay, we'll have you for a day. And so the response has been amazing. So it kind of got me thinking, well, geez, I'm going to have to find like a building or a place like to cook bulk kind of out of.
Right.
And maybe do that. Well, along that process, things take a little while.
Yep.
And I actually joined a cast iron club on Facebook.
Nice.
And I began some different perspective how to maybe do some cooking with that. And just I want to make sure I'm going the right direction, how I want to approach it.
Right.
And so you brought up, everybody says, man, what kind of barbecue you going to do? Or what, you going to do burritos? And are you going to, and we talked about just comfort food. And I want to just do what my grandma cooked for us and my mom cooked and just some good food. But in that same aspect, we just run into a few things here and there that kind of get me thinking. And I have a couple good buddies in business that I've been asking them a lot about just maybe get into a building, and been talking to some other people about some equipment and stuff like that. So things are taking a little bit longer than I would like them to take, but I would rather try to do it close to right the first time instead of, like my one buddy in business said, Jay, if you jump into it, next thing you know, if you get too far deep,
yep,
it's not what you want, or
start hemorrhaging money. And
he said, if you just start off with some basic steps,
yep,
you can work up. And he said, if I would have done that, I would have been in a lot better position, and so
it takes time to get a concept and idea.
And I'm not worried about, I know I have support. They're the people. If you're listening, I'm coming. I'll get there. But just the other day, I ran through McDonald's. Why McDonald's? But how do you want a fish sandwich with extra tartar sauce? Mm-hmm. So they got a better fish sandwich than anybody, I guess. But I said, well, I'll just grab a Big Mac. I was totally disappointed.
Yeah, we don't.
In the patty.
Yep.
And what I paid for that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, if you're listening to me, I'll give you a better price and a better burger than only buddy you'd be close is probably the Granary with their Hired Man's platter. That's an awesome burger. Yeah. But it's just crazy, but people still go there.
Yeah. I don't understand it. We don't eat a whole lot of fast food at all anymore, and I've felt way better not doing it.
Well, that too, because you can almost groceries have gone up, but
you can eat cheaper at home.
Yeah, cheaper at home.
I think a Big Mac meal, large size nowadays, is like $15.
Yeah, right.
So I can make you 10 Big Macs for $15.
I'll go buy a steak in a store.
I guess that you just get a steak from the farm friends.
Heck yes.
Just get it right off the farm.
Right.
But you asked about the future and what, I don't know, JJ holds or me and my wife had a discussion, and how do I want to say this? She would rather not have me get another motorcycle. A lot of people said, well, to hell with her, you go get one. But I'll take you back to a story why she said this. Roger was over, helped me get my garage done. And my one son-in-law, if the guys on my benefit seen it, it's about 3/4 of this wall, probably as tall as the ceiling. They did a die cast cut out of my symbol of my run, and they made one for me. So Roger's helped me with the garage, rearranging it. I said, yeah, put it on that wall right there. I said, I want it right there. Heidi comes down the ramp. She goes, no, I don't want it there. And Roger's wife was over there, and I'm like, come on, hon. You got the whole house. Just let me have the garage. Just give me a space, right? And in a flash, she said, you're not the only one that lost something that day.
Right.
And just like that, it just hit me like a rock.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And so I had to walk back in the house. We got it buried behind my toolbox in the back where you can't see it.
Yep.
Because, yeah, she's right. She ain't the only one that lost something that day. Or I'm not the only one that lost something that day.
Right.
So there's work in there and progress in there, right? And you know, some days, you know, it's hard. Some days it's, you know, you just take each bump as it goes, you know.
Yep.
And you learn to love on each other and learn to go through life together, you know.
You guys communicate really well too, which is a big piece.
Yeah, that's huge. You know, some days I still get upset. She gets upset
Everybody
too.
does.
You know, but it's just finding that time because, you know, how busy we still are with everything. And that's why I asked her today. I really asked her, wanted to know, how much longer do you really want to do daycare?
Right.
So we can loosen her up enough so I think she's taken so much on and everything because she feels bad that, you know, and she thinks she just has to take that whole load yet.
Makes sense.
And you know, I've worked enough and smart enough and I'm not the best, but try to be more keener with my money so, you know, we can make it stretch.
Right.
You know, and try to do the right things with it so I can help her just kind of take that load off. So not saying daycare, Daisy, her, and you know that. Once you have your clientele, it's you. It allows her something to do, but I just would like her to kind of just take some time herself and just even, she's always kidding, like, I need a vacation, like by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, if you want one, take one.
Right.
Not saying there's nothing wrong here, right? It's sometimes you need your own space. Like if I go deer hunting, you know, sometimes just sitting there by yourself and just to be able to think a little bit and just be you and
right.
That's okay. That's healthy.
For sure.
It's very healthy.
Yeah. And so I think that's where I am today. You know, and back to talk to my investor. And I was trying to explain to Heidi, cooking gives me, it's not about the money I can make at it or the work I have to do with it. It's about giving me a purpose.
Right.
Right.
It's just about, as a man, I had that purpose for 33 years.
Right.
Working for a family, growing the kids, raising kids, getting them all done. Now they're all out. And now you almost look at your wife and say, who are you?
Yeah.
Right.
Because
you almost got to
yeah. And it takes work. That takes work.
Well, any relationship takes work anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. But, right. Yeah. And so sometimes it's getting back to that. But we both talked and she said, you need to find yourself again.
Well,
so
hopefully this JJ's Kitchen will get you there.
You know, I love people and you know that I think conversation's good and you know that, get off your chest. But I think food can bring people together. Yeah. We sit around at dinner and eat. What do you do at holidays? Sit around food and or play cards. And
food brings everybody together.
Right. And then you get some you don't want, but no.
Yeah, right.
But no. But yeah, so.
Great. Well, we're going to kind of wrap up here. Probably if you get the food stuff going, we'll get you back on again.
Oh, yeah.
And if you feel you have more to talk about anything we discussed, that maybe you need to elaborate on, we'll get you back on for another episode. But make sure to be on the lookout for JJ's Kitchen. Is that what we're going to?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to stick with.
So be on the lookout for that. He may do brick and mortar. He may do food truck. He doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
But the food looks good.
Looks really good.
So what's your opinion real quick? Do you think Norfolk would support a BS cafe?
Like the name?
Like I'm talking about like 4 a.m. till noon.
Ooh.
Call it the BS cafe.
It could, depending. You might not be able to be open every day from 4 a.m. to
just like the old Truck Haven.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying old Truckhaven.
Well,
right?
but a cafe where there's a lot of people that
got to be in a good spot.
Got to be in a good spot. But I thought where the food is hot, but the BS is even hotter.
Oh, look at that! There you go. It
That's
could.
your
So
slogan.
you know, but
Well, people out there, if you think that'd be a good idea, make sure to go to our page and tell us if you think that'll work.
yeah, you know, I was thinking about the other day how I could whip anybody's Burger King, McDonald's, Taco John's breakfast.
Oh my gosh, we could so use a good breakfast place in this town.
But no, just one of them crazy little things that are back here.
Well, go to Age and Life Media Group if you feel like that the city could use something like that. Go give us a nice comment and saying that you could. If you guys want, I don't know, do you want Facebook followers? Do you want me to shout that out? Do you want people to be adding you on Facebook? Or?
Oh yeah, they can if they want. Yeah, sure.
So you can go find Jay on Facebook, just Jay Beltz.
Yep.
On Facebook. Make sure to check out JJ's Kitchen and go check it out once he gets it going.
Yeah.
So hey, Jay, really appreciate you making the time to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Anita.
Thank you. Anita too. Thank you.
It's been so fun.
Awesome. Well, we will catch you guys next time.